The stars had never felt so silent. Commander Alara Vey stood at the very edge of the observation deck, her boots resting on a transparent alloy floor that revealed the infinite void beneath her. Beyond the glass stretched the vastness of space, cold, endless, indifferent. Entire galaxies shimmered like distant embers, uncaring witnesses to the quiet storm raging inside her. She had stood here many times before, but tonight was different. Tonight, she wasn't admiring the stars. She was saying goodbye to them. The war was over. Or at least, that's what the High Council had declared. Victory, they called it, a word that tasted like ash in Alara's mouth. She closed her eyes, letting the faint hum of the ship's engines vibrate through her bones. The echoes of battle still lingered in her mind. The screaming alarms, the burning hulls, the silent drift of ships that would never return home. They had won, but at what cost? Her fingers tightened around the cold railing. Too many names, too many faces, too many voices that would never speak again. And now there was nothing left for her. No mission, no war, no purpose, only silence. Alara opened her eyes and took a small step forward. The safety field would disengage with a simple command. One step beyond that, and she would be free from the memories, from the guilt, from the unbearable weight of survival. Her voice was barely a whisper. End protocol. The system hesitated. Commander, the ship's AI responded gently. This action requires confirmation. Alara almost laughed. Even now, the universe insisted on making things difficult. Yes, she said, her voice steadier this time. Confirm. The faint shimmer of the safety barrier flickered. Another step. Just one more. That's a terrible idea. The voice came from behind her. Human. Annoyingly calm. Alara froze. For a moment, she considered ignoring it. Whoever it was had no right to interfere. No understanding of what she had endured. But something in the tone, steady, grounded, almost warm, kept her from moving. Go away, she said without turning around. No, the voice replied simply. Alara exhaled slowly, irritation flickering through her grief. Do you have any idea who I am? Yes, the voice said. Commander Alara Vey. War hero. Strategist. The woman who saved 3 entire star systems. Alara clenched her jaw. And yet, the voice continued. Here you are, about to throw it all away. She turned sharply. The man standing a few steps behind her looked entirely out of place. He wasn't dressed like a soldier. No armor. No rank insignia. Just a simple utility uniform, slightly worn, sleeves rolled up like he had better things to do than follow protocol. Human. Of course. Only a human would have the audacity. Leave, Alara said, her eyes cold. That's an order. The man shrugged. Not in my chain of command. Alara stared at him, incredulous. You're on a military vessel. And I'm a civilian contractor, he replied. Different rules. There was something infuriatingly casual about him, as if this moment, her moment, was just another conversation. What do you want? She asked. He took a few steps closer, but not too close. My name's Kale, he said, and I'd like you to step away from the edge. Alara let out a bitter laugh. That's not going to happen. Kale tilted his head slightly, studying her. Okay, he said. Then I'll stand here and talk to you until it does. You're wasting your time. Probably, he admitted. But I've got nothing better to do. Alara narrowed her eyes. You think this is a joke? No, Kale said quietly. I think you're hurting. The words hit harder than she expected. She looked away. You don't know anything about me. No, he said. But I know that look. Alara hesitated. Something in his voice, something real, made it harder to dismiss him. "And what look is that?" she asked. Kale leaned casually against a nearby console. "The one that says you're tired of carrying something too heavy for one person." Alara swallowed. For a moment, the stars blurred. "You're wrong," she said. "Am I?" "Yes," she snapped. "I'm not carrying anything. It's over." Kale was quiet for a moment. Then he said softly, "If it were really over, you wouldn't be standing there." The silence stretched between them. Alara's chest tightened. "Go away," she said again, but there was less force behind it now. Kale didn't move. Instead, he asked, "How many?" Alara stiffened. "How many what?"
"People," he said.
"How many did you lose?" Her breath caught. "That's none of your business." "Maybe not," Kale said, "but it's yours. And you're clearly not done thinking about them." Alara's hands trembled. She hated him for that. For seeing too much. "For every decision I made," she said slowly, "someone paid the price." Kale nodded. "Yeah." "You don't understand," she said, her voice rising. "I chose who lived and who died. Entire fleets. Entire worlds. Do you have any idea what that does to a person?" Kale didn't flinch.
"No," he said. "Not exactly.
"But I've made choices I can't take back." Alara laughed bitterly. "Not like this." "Maybe not," he admitted. "But pain isn't a competition." That caught her off guard. "You think that makes it better?" "No," Kale said. "I think it makes it human." Alara stared at him. "You're not even from my species," she said. "Close enough," he replied with a faint smile. She shook her head. "You don't get it. I survived." "They didn't. That's not something you just move on from." Kale nodded slowly. "Maybe not," he said. "But it's also not something you fix by jumping." Alara's breath hitched. "I'm not trying to fix anything," she said. "Then what are you trying to do?" She opened her mouth. Closed it. The answer was there. She just didn't want to say it. "Escape," Kale said quietly. The word hung in the air. Alara's vision blurred again. "I'm so tired," she whispered. Kale's expression softened. "Yeah," he said. "I figured." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The stars shimmered silently beyond the glass. "You know," Kale said after a while, "humans have this thing." Alara glanced at him. "What thing?" "We're really bad at letting people carry things alone." She frowned. "That sounds inefficient." He chuckled softly. "It is, but it works."
"How?"
Kale looked at her. "Because sometimes all it takes is one person saying, 'You don't have to do this by yourself.'" Alara felt something crack inside her. Just a little. "I do," she said. "I'm the commander." "Not right now, you're not," Kale replied. "Right now, you're just someone who's hurting." She looked away. "I don't deserve to be saved." Kale didn't hesitate. "That's not how it works." "Yes, it is," she said sharply. "There has to be balance. Consequences." "Sure," he said. "But not like this." Alara shook her head. "You don't understand. If I step back, if I keep living, I have to face everything I've done." Kale nodded. "Yeah. And I don't know if I can." He took a small step forward. "You don't have to figure that out tonight." She looked at him. "What do you mean?" "I mean," Kale said, "you don't have to solve your entire life in one moment." Alara frowned. "That's not how responsibility works." "Maybe not," he said. "But survival isn't about solving everything. It's about taking the next step." She glanced down at the void beneath her. "The next step," she repeated softly. "Yeah," Kale said. "And right now, the next step is not forward." Alara let out a shaky breath. Her heart was pounding. "I don't know how to go back," she admitted. Kale smiled gently. You don't have to know. You just have to try. She hesitated. Every instinct told her to move forward, to end it, to silence everything. But his words, they lingered. What if I fail? She asked. Kale shrugged. Then you fail. And then you try again. That sounds naive. Probably, he said. But it's kept me alive so far. Alara stared at him. Why do you care? She asked. You don't know me. Kale met her gaze. Because you're here, he said. And that's enough. Something inside her broke. Not violently, not all at once, but slowly, like ice melting under a distant sun. Her grip on the railing loosened. Her body trembled. I can't do this, she whispered. Kale took another step closer. You already are. Alara closed her eyes, took a breath, then another. And then she stepped back. The safety field flickered, stabilizing once more. The void retreated. The stars remained. But something had changed. Alara sank to her knees, her body shaking as the weight she had been carrying finally began to shift. Not disappear. Not yet. But shift. Kale crouched beside her, keeping a respectful distance. You did good, he said quietly. Alara let out a broken laugh. I didn't do anything. You stepped back, he said. That's everything. She wiped at her eyes. I still don't know how to live with this. Kale nodded. Yeah, he said. That part takes time. Alara looked at him. Will it ever stop hurting? Kale thought for a moment. No, he said honestly. But it changes. She frowned. How? It gets quieter, he said. Less sharp. And eventually it becomes something you carry, instead of something that crushes you. Alara considered that. Carry, she repeated. Yeah, Kale said. And maybe someday you use it to help someone else. She looked at him. Like you did. Kale smiled faintly. Something like that. Alara exhaled slowly. For the first time in what felt like forever, the silence didn't feel quite so heavy. The stars still stretched endlessly before her. But they no longer felt like an invitation to disappear. They felt like something else. A reminder that even in the vastness, even in the darkness, there were still connections, still moments, still reasons to stay. Alara pushed herself to her feet. Her legs were unsteady, but she stood. Kale stood with her. What now? She asked. He shrugged. Now? We take it one step at a time. She nodded slowly. One step, she repeated. And this time, she didn't look at the edge. She looked at the door. Then she took that step. Not into the void, but away from it. And Kale followed, just a little behind. Not leading, not pushing. Just there. In case she needed someone to walk beside her. The corridor lights felt different. Alara couldn't explain it. They were the same sterile white strips embedded in the ship's curved walls, the same faint hum of energy running beneath her feet, but everything felt heavier, realer, as if stepping away from the edge had shifted something fundamental inside her. For the first time in a long while, she was aware of her own breathing. Each inhale felt earned. Each exhale uncertain. Kale walked beside her, hands in his pockets, matching her pace without trying to guide it. He didn't speak, and strangely, she was grateful for that. Words had carried her back, but silence was what she needed now to stay. They reached a junction where the corridor split. Alara stopped. This is where you go, she asked quietly. Kale glanced down one path, then back at her. Yeah, he said. Maintenance deck. She nodded. There was something she felt she should say. Something important. But the words refused to come easily. Kale. He waited. If you hadn't been there, You would have found another reason, he said gently. Alara frowned slightly.
No, she said.
I wouldn't have. Kale studied her for a moment, then gave a small, understanding nod. Then I'm glad I was there. That was it. No grand speech. No dramatic acknowledgement. Just truth. And somehow that made it mean more. Alara straightened slightly, the remnants of her command presence returning, not as armor this time, but as structure.
Something to stand on.
I don't know what happens next, she admitted. Kale gave a half smile. Good, he said. That means there's still something left to figure out. She almost smiled. Almost. Will I see you again? She asked. Kale shrugged lightly. It's a big ship, he said. But yeah, probably. There was a pause. Then he added, Try not to visit the edge again, though. Bad for my schedule. A faint, unexpected laugh escaped her. I'll try. Trying's enough, he said. And with that, he turned and walked down the opposite corridor, disappearing around the curve without looking back. Alara stood there for a long moment after he was gone. The silence returned. But it wasn't the same silence. It wasn't empty anymore. It was open. Days later, the war reports didn't stop. They never did. Alara sat in the command briefing room, staring at a holographic display filled with casualty lists, reconstruction plans, and political negotiations. Names scrolled past, thousands of them. Each one mattered. Each one hurt. But she didn't look away. That was the difference. Before, the weight of it would have crushed her. Now it pressed down, yes, but she stood beneath it.
Barely.
But standing. Commander? She looked up. Lieutenant Saran stood at attention, hesitation flickering across his expression. We've received a transmission from the outer colonies, he said. They're requesting guidance on rebuilding their defense grid. Alara inhaled slowly. There it was. Responsibility. Not the kind that demanded sacrifice in fire and blood, but the kind that required patience, endurance, living.
Patch it through, she said.
Saran blinked, just slightly, as if surprised by how steady her voice sounded. Yes, Commander. As the transmission activated, Alara felt the familiar pressure in her chest, the echo of doubt, of guilt, of all the things she had tried to escape. It was still there, but so was something else. A voice. Not the AI. Not the crew. A memory. You don't have to solve everything in one moment. Kale's words. Simple. Human. Stubbornly persistent. Alara exhaled. Then she stepped forward. Open channel, she said. The holographic display shifted, revealing the worn, tired faces of colony leaders, people who had survived the war, just like her. Waiting. Hoping. Commander Alara Vey, one of them said. We weren't sure if. I'm here, she interrupted gently. And she was. Fully. Weeks later. The observation deck was quiet again. Alara stood there once more. But this time, she wasn't at the edge. She stood several steps back, hands resting loosely behind her, her posture calm. Not rigid, not defensive. The stars stretched endlessly before her. Still vast. Still indifferent. But no longer unbearable. Footsteps approached from behind. She didn't turn. You're standing in a much better spot, Kale's voice said. Alara allowed herself a small smile. I made a strategic adjustment. Looks like it worked. She glanced over her shoulder. You're late. Kale raised an eyebrow. We had a meeting? No, she said. But you still are. He chuckled, stepping beside her. For a moment, they stood in silence again, looking out at the stars. You've been busy, he said. Rebuilding, she replied. It's slower than destruction. Yeah, Kale said. But usually worth it. Alara nodded. There was a pause. Then she said quietly, "It still hurts." Kale didn't look at her.
"Yeah," he said.
"I figured it would." She tightened her jaw slightly. "But I'm still here." That made him glance at her. "Yeah," he said again, softer this time. "You are." Alara looked out at the stars. "They deserved better," she said. "Maybe," Kale replied. "But what they have now is you." She frowned. "That doesn't feel like enough." Kale shrugged. "Maybe not," he said. "But it's what's real." Alara considered that. Then she took a slow breath. "I think," she began, hesitating. "Yeah, I think I understand what you meant." Kale tilted his head. "About what?" "Carrying it," she said. "Instead of letting it crush me." A small smile touched his lips. "Yeah." She nodded. "It's still heavy," she admitted. "It always is. But I can walk with it now." Kale looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Yeah," he said. "That's how it starts." Final moment. The stars shimmered endlessly before them. Distant. Unreachable. Beautiful. Alara stepped forward slightly, not toward the edge, but toward the vast view of the universe. Not as someone trying to escape it, but as someone choosing to remain within it. "To the ones we lost," she said softly. Kale lowered his head slightly. "To the ones who stayed," he added. Alara glanced at him, then back at the stars. And for the first time, she didn't feel like she was standing at the edge of something.